Chris Youngblood was actually very cold-blooded last night.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA's radio network. Luke Robinson, that's me. Bama Online's Jim Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. We'll talk about Game Time here in just a little bit. Thank you, everydayers, for being here every day, and thank you, newbies, for being here today. And what a day to be here. And I know the analytics say always lead with football, but I'm giving basketball their due. They went to a very hostile environment again and took care of business. Now, there were some rocky moments in the game, but Mississippi State is no slouch. And Alabama went in there and did what they had to do. They had a nice lead. They gave it up. Free throw shooting, almost cost them again. But you can say what you want to. This team's got some swagger about it. It's got some clutchness about it. And Chris Youngblood, look, I know Muhammad Diabate won the hard hat because he just has like a collection of hard hats now. He's like, Cadell Construction. I mean, he's just got hard hats everywhere in a trailer at his house. But Chris Youngblood was the story to me last night.
Yeah, you don't win without Chris Youngblood last night. Also thought not only was his shot on, because I don't think he was 7 of 9, but he was something like 7 of 10 or something. It looked great. I mean, it wasn't just going in. It looked like he could just rain them all night. I mean, he was on fire. And I get the impression, Luke, that this is sort of the Youngblood we're going to get going forward. I don't think last night was a fluke. I think last night was just sort of now he's getting really comfortable with this offense, and he had to miss so many games, and he's in the flow, and now we're kind of depending on him. And last night he looked like the American Athletic Conference Player of the Year that he was when he signed with Alabama. And, of course, Diabate, who we've named the hard hat after. I think that's his 7th one. Grant has 6. No one else on the team has more than 2. But really it's Diabate and Grant Nelson with those hard hats. I would also like to point out, we said on the show this week leading up to this that Mississippi State was good. They're really good. They're going to be a handful for anyone in that NCAA tournament. It won't surprise me at all to see Mississippi State in the Sweet 16. I don't know about the Elite 8, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think they're that talented. And Josh Hubbard, I don't know if he's not the best player played all year. That Harper kid from Rutgers is really good too. But Hubbard's up there with the best players who played all year. And I know people might point to the defense and say, we got to do a better job on him. They're going to be saying that in the NBA, like the Wizards and the Kings will be saying, we got to do a better job on Hubbard. I mean, he's just ridiculous, that good. So great road win last night. Very few teams in the country, very few, are just going to go into Starkville and beat Mississippi State. I know Kentucky has. Guess what? They're good too. Very few teams are going to beat Mississippi State in Starkville.
And I think the separation of the two teams is probably there was a great metaphor in there somewhere. One of the final plays, Keyshawn Murphy sort of breaks free on a pick and roll, and he could have hit the shot that gives them the lead with 20 some odd seconds left, but he misses. It misses the bunny. I mean, look, it wasn't like the easiest shot I've ever seen, but it was one of the shots. You got to make it. And I think that's the separation of the two. I think if Alabama has that shot, they make it. And that's why they're number 3 team in the country, or number 4 team, whatever you want to say. If Mississippi State has that shot right now, they're not ready to make that shot. Now, you can say, well, anybody can make that shot. I'm just saying it feels like the good teams, the great teams, I should say, always make that shot. The teams that are on the precipice of greatness but can't ever get over the hump, they seem to miss that shot. And I'm looking at the Mississippi State stat line. How about this? Just first of all, before I do that, how many guys from Mississippi State went down with what looked like debilitating, career-ending ankle injuries and then came back out 2 minutes later? Yeah, I'm not pulling for anybody to get hurt.
They got some kind of Mr. Miyagi in their they got a Mr. Miyagi in their pop-up tent.
They all look like Janai Broome when he got hurt against South Carolina. I thought his ankle was actually turned a little bit, like pointing the wrong direction. And you could, like, there's this picture on his face, like him just screaming. And he was out for a few weeks. The Mississippi State guys were like limping back to the locker room as if they had been shot in the Civil War right in the face. And they come back like 2 minutes later. And again, I'm not pulling for him to be hurt. Don't get me wrong. I just thought it was weird. I was like, holy cow, how did those two guys survive, much less play? But here's their stat lines on points from Mississippi State. 3 points, 4 points, 7 points, 8 points, 38 points, 18 points, 4 points, 2 points, no points.
Well,
Alabama's, meanwhile, Jaron Stevenson with 0 points. Okay, eventually we're going to have to address this elephant in the room with Jaron Stevenson not scoring. But Grant Nelson, 15, Amori was 6, Youngblood, 23, Sears was 17. I predicted 24, I think. I was a little bit off, but he still played well.
He did.
He'd have some late turnovers, which, we got to stop. He had 2 of them that were bad.
Yeah.
Darian Reed with 2 points. Forgivable that he only had 2 because he just got back. He only played 12 minutes. Muhammad Diabate, 4 points, but it doesn't matter because he rebounds everything, and his rebounds are the most clutch, crucial rebounds you can ask for. That's when he gets rebounds. He's not getting rebounds like when somebody shoots a deep 3 and it doesn't mean anything, and he just gets it right before
they count.
Blows.
His rebounds count. That rebound on the missed free throw.
Oh, my gosh.
Dennis Rodman came out of his chair going, "Ooh, I wish I could have rebounded that well when I played basketball."
How about this? Let me tell you another guy who deserves some recognition from last night. Aiden Sherrill.
Yeah.
I swear, Jimmy, every time that I see him in the box score, I'm always like, he played 3 minutes? Like, I don't remember him out there at all. But last night I go, he only played 3 minutes? It felt like he was out there a lot. And I think all 3 minutes might have come in the first half.
His presence, I think he's one of these guys that's almost – he's improving even though he's not playing much in the games. And I think next year Amori's going to be gone. Hopefully Sherrill comes back. I mean, I'm not worried about him going to the NBA. I'm worried about him going to the portal. But, I mean, just because you have to worry about all of them going to the portal, no specific news. I'm just saying, you got to worry about every one of them going to the portal. But if Sherrill comes back, he's just going to be a monster next year. I would go this way. Probably a better player than Amori next year once he's getting 25, 28 minutes every game out. I mean, he's great.
Aiden Sherrill wears a lot of stuff, though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It looks like he has a lot of stuff on out there.
He looks like a guy that's going to battle nagging injuries.
Well, he looks like a guy who should be playing for Mississippi State because everything's been twisted and turned, and he's gone to the locker room, gotten it wrapped, and come right back out.
It's like that dumb category we have when we do our football recruiting class, superlatives, player most likely headed for a medical red shirt.
Yeah, that is the worst. That's the worst.
It is the worst. But Sherrill's out there with like football pads on while he plays basketball but no, I think it's just the nature of the way he's built. And the fact that these young kids, Luke, as you know from being around basketball your whole life, the young kids that grow insanely fast, it takes them a while to kind of catch up in terms of losing the awkwardness, learning to play big because you sprout it up. That kid could probably feel himself grow. Now he'll probably leave Alabama 7-2.
I want to keep talking about this game past the break, but I do want to say this before we go to break, that Michael Southern, friend of the program, who's been on the program, said he thinks the only 2 teams in the SEC that could have gone into Starkville last night and won with Josh Hubbard having that kind of game, both are from the state of Alabama. And I pretty much agree with him. I mean,
300%.
Look, Josh Hubbard's got this, he's one of those jump shooters, shoots at the top of his jump. I mean, it's so pretty. And he gets way up, he shoots at the top of his jump, and then he's got almost a tiny little Clyde Drexler kick out of the legs right as he's shooting it to give him a little extra oomph. And if that kid wants to get in the transfer portal, he could make $10 gazillion wherever he wants to go.
He's going to transfer to the Oklahoma City Thunder, make $1 gazillion there, I think. Now, he's not built like what you would imagine an NBA guard is built like, really. He's short for an NBA. He's just so good. I just feel like it reminds me of. I'm not going to say it because it's not good enough comp. To me,
you're going to say Vinnie Johnson?
No, something even crazier. Randolph Childress. And the reason I was going to say that is because
Randolph Childress was kind of slight, though.
Yeah, I know that's why it wasn't a good comp. But what I mean by it is I remember watching Randolph Childress at Wake Forest and believing every time he shot the ball, it would go in.
Yeah.
Like it was hard to believe he ever missed. And
well, that was back when Wake Forest would win the ACC, even though Duke and North Carolina were like in their prime.
Yeah, right.
That was back in those days when they
exactly. But Hubbard, it feels like every time he shoots the ball, you're like, how does he ever miss with that shot? And he's amazing. But all the more amazing that Alabama's able to win when Hubbard playing a career type game. And I know Michael Southern said that. I mean, I think last night, Rothstein also said this on Twitter, couldn't agree more. And Rothstein's a neutral observer. He says, the three best teams in the country on the road or in neutral site type games are Alabama, Auburn, and Duke. And couldn't agree more. There's your three best teams in the country right there.
Time to talk a little game time. Look, if you want to go to the Alabama-Georgia game this weekend, I will be there this weekend, barring unforeseen circumstance again. We'll be there. Looking forward to it. Hope you see me. Hope I see you. And you can get your tickets at Game Time using code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off that first order. And even if it's not your first order, and even if you don't get the $20 off, you can start like a new account for your wife or girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or whatever, cousin, and then get you the $20 off. That's fine. But, just remember this. You're getting the best price guaranteed. You're going to get the best tickets. You're going to get all that stuff. So, the $20, it's nice. But really, it's just the service that Game Time gives you. It's worth it. Game Time, best prices guaranteed, best customer service, in my opinion, because I've used them. And they have everything you want. You get to see where you're going to be sitting. Go check out Game Time and check out that Game Time app today. You will absolutely love it. Game Time. What time is it? It's game time. We were talking about Hubbard. How about Mo Diabate? I think he's the only one that blocked Hubbard's shot. I know Amori tried to one time, didn't get it. I know that, I'm just trying to remember the game. I know Grant Nelson did a couple times and at least got one opportunity, may have gotten two for Hubbard. But it's Diabate who's got the quickness and then the wingspan to make it happen. Again, it has become, I don't want to overlook this year, but it has become crucial that Diabate come back next year to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And as we've said all along, and I've never been more confident that this is true, the more he plays, the more offense you're going to get from him. For those like, well, when he's out there, he's awesome on defense and he can rebound. He's not going to give you much scoring. I don't think that's going to be the case at all by the time his senior year rolls around, especially. I just think this is a guy that over time is just going to be better and better and better on offense. Also reminds me a little bit, he's a tougher, more of an inside guy, but he sort of reminds me of Keith Askins a bit in that way too.
Oh,
played for Alabama a long time ago, who was a defensive specialist, and then his senior year became a scorer and then played in the NBA forever. And I think Diabate can be like that. And Herb Jones followed a similar track of developing an offensive game late. I just want to, again, give a special – how about this? I caught this late. We've been on Sears over his defense, and I'm not sure how well that went last night. He did turn it over a little bit, but Sears was a big part of the win last night. Down the stretch, for us to win the game, we had to stop Hubbard, and I noticed that Mark was on Hubbard late a few times, and I thought that was a signal from Nate, a signal from Mark. Like, you hope, we're not there to know it, but I hope that in a huddle, Mark Sears asked. That's what you want, right? You want Mark Sears to ask, put me on Hubbard. Because whoever wants to guard Hubbard, that's your dude. That's your dude. He might not do a great job of it. He might not shut him down. But you want the dudes that want to guard him.
Who does? Again, Mark Sears is averaging more points than Hubbard, I think. Maybe not after last night. But Hubbard's, and I know Hubbard is like, not had 38-point games every game he's played, but that kid's incredible. I would love, and again, I don't want to look past this year, but I'm one of those. Jerry Seinfeld always said men don't like what's on TV, like they like what else is on TV, because we always want to see the next thing. And I'm thinking about next year, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we probably lose all five guys that were in the starting lineup. I'm thinking Jaron Stevenson may still go pro because he almost went pro this past year. But maybe he doesn't. But coming back, if you got Mo Diabate, Darian Reed, Aiden Sherrill, LeBaron, Philon, maybe, probably not, but maybe, and then Aiden Holloway, and then this recruiting class we got coming in, and hit the portal for a couple of guys. Shoot, we're not going anywhere, Jimmy.
No, I think we're good. I think if we keep Nate Oates, we're going to be pretty good. I think it's that.
Yeah, Nate Oates all right. Mark Sears, it should look, if you want to point out the turnovers, which he had 7, fair. 2 of them towards the end of the game were bad. They just weren't good turnovers. I mean, there's never a good turnover, but like one time he got caught up in a jump ball situation. Another time he sort of overthrew a teammate. But he had 9 assists.
9 assists.
And his assist to Grant Nelson late on a beautiful pick and roll in the anticipatory pass. I think that's a word.
It was extremely NBA-like.
It was beautiful. And he had to put some extra zhuzh on that thing.
Like some spin on the ball. He advanced the ball forward with some top spin. Now, Sears is I thought he played really hard. I thought there was good effort. I thought he was a big part of the win. He was a little sloppy with the ball, but at the same time, if we can you can put up with some turnovers if there's 9 assists. And some of the assists, like Luke said, some of the assists were like otherworldly great passes. And he was a facilitator last night in addition to hitting some clutch threes. So great win for Alabama. Now you come home, and while you're not playing an awesome team, but Georgia's very good. They're headed to the NCAA tournament as of now. It's a good team. Don't spit the bit here. I mean, this is the game that you've got to win because it's at home and you're a big favorite.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And somebody else posted it on the BOL board. I've not verified this, but it sounds right that we're the first team in SEC history to go 6 straight road games posting over 85 points.
Wow. And that's amazing. And last night I saw on efficiency metrics, Alabama's number 2 in the country on offense, but number 44 on defense. Obviously the defense has to improve to win that national championship from where it's at. But hey, when you got the number 2 most efficient offense in college basketball, you're champion, you're national championship worthy. No doubt about it on that side of the ball. But to win it all in March, they're going to have to make some stops against guys like a Hubbard, who are just really, that's who you're going to go up against. I mean, if y'all think Hubbard's good, wait till y'all see Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, that's true. But I'll tell you what, Hubbard's just, I mean, he's got to be in some All-American discussions. He's just got anyway. So it's funny, yesterday you and I were talking about Mississippi State and maybe being the 4th or 5th best team in the conference. And a couple of teams we overlooked probably that actually have better records than Mississippi State. Number 1 is Missouri, who plays at Mississippi State this weekend, so that may tell the tale there. Texas A&M, we sort of overlooked them a little bit. They're really good. Ole Miss sort of after they beat us, you could tell they hit a lull a little bit. I think they may have been too high, but they finally came back last night and they end up beating Texas at home. Huge game for them because Texas put up a big-time fight. What I'm hoping is by the time we get to Texas and play them in Austin, that they've sort of their aspirations and hopes and dreams have gone down the drain.
Let me tell you, Trey Johnson at Texas
is a problem.
There's a lot of Hubbard in him. I mean, he got an open look to win the game last night from 3. Yep. And when the ball ended up in his hands, I watched the last 10 seconds because it was right after the Alabama game. You could flip over and watch the last 10 seconds. Ole Miss and Texas on ESPN2. I watched it, and as soon as the ball hit Trey Johnson's hands, I'm like, oh my gosh, Texas pulled it off. But he rushed the shot. He did. That shot's going to haunt him. He had time. He just wasn't quite set.
Huge weekend coming up. I mean, Florida at Tennessee, that's a 5-8. Now, it's not really because Tennessee won't be 8 if they wouldn't be 8 if they updated the AP top 25 right now because they lost to Kentucky on Tuesday, but they can probably stay at 8 if they beat Florida. Then Missouri, number 20 at number 14, Mississippi State, number 1, Auburn at Ole Miss. That's a game. Hey, look, it doesn't really, I'm always pulling for Auburn to lose, but I think you're especially pulling for them to lose this time because number 1,
when are they going to lose? This is a good time.
Okay. All right, then Georgia, Bama, of course, Vandy at Oklahoma, Texas at LSU, Texas A&M at South Carolina. Tricky game for A&M, and then Arkansas at Kentucky, which probably doesn't deserve any more discussion other than it's just Calipari's homecoming. So we won't discuss it anymore. How about that? All right, Jimmy. So some big visitors coming in this weekend.
Yep.
3 big uns from Pensacola visiting this weekend. And I believe EJ Crowell's going to be here this weekend, right?
He is coming this weekend, and he set an official visit for Alabama too this summer. So that's big news, meaning, hey, when you're on that official visit list, now, by the way, kids can make as many official visits as they want. They used to be limited to 5. Now they can go on 100 if you can figure out how you can that you have the time for that. There's just no limit anymore. But I think he's got 4 visits set. I think it's Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and Texas for EJ. But Alabama's one of the 4. Not a surprise, but still fun that with a player of his caliber, Alabama still remains in very good shape to sign who may be the best running back in this cycle, even though he was originally in the 27 cycle. But he's kind of a Ryan Williams that way. He gets bumped up to a whole cycle ahead, and he still might be the best running back in the country in that 26 cycle. But I really wanted to highlight today 3 kids from Pensacola. So rare, Luke, Pensacola's in Florida, but, I live, most of the time when I'm not in Tuscaloosa, I'm in Baldwin County, which is between Mobile County and Pensacola. So I'm basically where I am in Fairhope. I'm about, 40 minutes from Pensacola and 20 minutes from Mobile. So Pensacola really is almost an in-state situation for Alabama. Alabama signed a lot of good players out of Pensacola over the years, most famously maybe Trent Richardson, in recent years. So Pensacola is a place Alabama can do well. And lo and behold, crazy, out of this giant state of Florida and all that talent in South Florida, 2 of the top 3 players in the state of Florida are Pensacola kids, a pass rusher from Pensacola Catholic named Trenton Henderson, and a safety from Milton, which is Pensacola, Caden Hall. He's a safety, number 2 safety in the country. Henderson's a 5-star. And again, 2 of the top 3 players in Florida, they're going to be 5-star types when you're ranked that high. They love Alabama. They're going to be in Tuscaloosa this weekend, February 1st. 2 of the best players in the country. They're from Pensacola. Alabama's got a good shot at both. Now, you got to beat everybody in the world to sign these 2. Everybody wants them, but you got to like where they're from. Because there's going to be some hometown pressure even to go to Alabama. Also, a lot of Florida Gator fans in Pensacola that you got to beat. A third guy from Pensacola I want to mention that isn't ranked as high as the other 2, Grant Wise. He's an offensive lineman. Here's the thing. I love Grant Wise. He's one of my favorites in this whole class. He's not ranked as high as the other 2. A coaching buddy that coaches in Alabama told me about Grant Wise over a year ago, and I watched his tape then. I've kept up with him then. I'm not sure where Grant's ranked right now, but wherever he is, he's underranked. I love him. He's huge workout warrior, kind of a Saban bot. This kid is football driven. He likes Alabama a lot. He is also going to be in Tuscaloosa Saturday. I would be just as excited to land Grant Wise as I would those more highly regarded kids, Trenton Henderson and Caden Hall. So watch those 3 Pensacola kids. They're worth watching, and let's call them honorary in-state guys being so close to the border.
Yeah, Pensacola to me is kind of like Mobile to LSU. I mean, it's technically in Florida, and it is close to Gainesville, no doubt, but it's got an Alabama vibe to it. Mobile's got sort of an LSU vibe to it, at least in some corners, as you know, you live down in that area. But there's some other guys, EJ Crowell coming in. Who else this weekend? And another guy that you guys just profiled, Jet Washington. This is a safety, number 2 safety in the country. I don't know that he's going to be here this weekend, but he is planning a visit to Alabama.
Yeah, he is. And Jet Washington, interestingly, that's Kobe Bryant's nephew, I believe. He's out in Vegas at
all right, that's super cool.
Yeah. So just anyone related to Kobe needs to be a high priority, just because there's some awesomeness. There's some Black Mamba awesomeness genetically there. So you want him. we went all the way, and I think DeBoer himself went all the way out there and spent some time with them on his crisscrossing the country. By the way, that ends at the end of this week. The coaches have to be back off the road, and then they'll really start buckling down and get ready for spring practice, which starts probably 4 weeks from Monday.
I mean, it's it's so far away, it's so close. It's a little bit of both, Jimmy.
It's just a little bit of it's just amazing that the season really just ended. I mean, what's today? As we record this is January 30th. We played just 31 days ago, and now we're 4 weeks away.
I would argue we didn't play
well.
31 days.
The defense did. The defense played.
I would argue we played around.
The defense played. The offense decided to enjoy Tampa, Busch Gardens. Offense stayed at Busch Gardens. They were still on.
All right. So that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back soon with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.